everybody, this is Andy, the prop chef here at Two Perspective Studio. This is another edition of Try It Tuesday inside the Crafting Collective. If you are watching me on a replay, you can hashtag replay and let me know that you were here. I can say hi, answer any questions you have. Our Tuesdays begin at 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time with Jess from Jess's Custom Creations, followed by Cece from Dragonflies and Hearts at 11. Then at 12:30 comes Jan, who just finished, from Jan C's Designs. I come in on 2, and followed by me are the mother-daughter duo of Marie and Nicole. Today they are on Nicole's Great Creations page. Marie's page is Great Creations Faux Cupcakes. So that is our Tuesday lineup. Hope everybody's doing good on this Tuesday. Today is pasta day. I actually have done this one before, but I didn't do it very well. It was a couple of years ago. Hi Jane Ann, haven't seen you in a hot minute. I did see your gorgeous, all your flowery pink. I loved the one in the Irish coffee glass. I think that was my favorite. That whole thing was gorgeous. Hey Jamie, hi Cece. About probably 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, I tried some spaghetti and meatballs, and it didn't come out very well. I tried to use a cookie press to bring out the pasta and stuff. It was kind of a scratched project, and I never went back to it. But recently I was asked to do some pasta dishes, so I figured I would revisit this and do another video. So this was my initial creation, and I think it's pretty decent. I don't have the meatballs on this one. I tried to go for a chunkier meat-like looking sauce. It's not quite as chunky as I thought it would be, but nonetheless it's not bad. I do like this spaghetti much better than my first try. This is molded by hand. So it's actually, the first try took me forever twisting the little cookie press thing because it was just crazy. This may be a little bit thicker than normal spaghetti looks, but if you roll it just a little bit thinner, I think it'll be fine. Let me see. I did not even, there I am. Okay, now I've got some comments closer to my eyeballs here. So I'm going to be using a variety of things to pull this off, including my homemade crust mix. This is my dark crust mix that I make meatballs out of, and they actually come out pretty realistic. I actually did a video yesterday that is up on my YouTube, and if you are subscribed to my Prop Chef blog page, thepropchef.com, if you're subscribed on there, you may have gotten an email notification. I hope you did. I know I got it, so that's sort of my test. If I get my own email shout outs, I feel like everybody gets them. If you didn't see it, check your promotions or your spam file. But it's a decent video on how to use all 3 of my different crust mixes, because I know a lot of people have had questions about, what do I use it for? How do I use it? How much do I mix with it? So I did a little video yesterday, and like I did, this is a preliminary cheesecake. I used, this is the light crust mix, which mimics the graham cracker crust that I put, so the cheesecake will be like this when it's all finished. This is the light one. The dark one is what I'm going to use now for these meatballs. I made a hamburger patty, so you can see the difference between the light crust mix and the dark crust mix. This is the one that I have in my bowl here to make meatballs out of. You can use either one of these for meat. I think the dark is usually a little more realistic. And then I made another cheesecake with the chocolate. This is the chocolate crust that's going to be a cheesecake. but that's what the chocolate crust does. So the video on that is on my YouTube if you want to check that out. I'm going to start by rolling the pasta, which is sort of the obvious beginning here. So I'm going to move this, put that up there. Well, maybe that's not a good place for that. Yeah, a lot of people have gotten the crust mixes and then they're really confused about how they work. There is a recipe on the back of each bag that sort of gives you a little bit of a basic recipe for it. And I had intended on doing more videos using them so that you could see just how they react in different mixtures and different uses for them. But sometimes we have these really good intentions and then we don't do it. But I'll get there. But in that video, you'll just be able to see the basics and the different things that I use them for here. And I did explain, crumbling and different stuff like that. So it may be helpful. I hope it's helpful. So I'm going to roll out, I'm just using my Model Magic. You can tint this ahead of time. This pasta I did tint slightly with a very, very, very watered down pale yellow color. So I did paint that after the fact, but Model Magic is pretty good to mix paint in with it, or food coloring. You can even use that if you're looking for a pretty specific color. Food coloring works in Model Magic as well. Just make sure you use gloves with either one. You can use gloves while you're working with Model Magic, unlike foam clay. I make that mistake all the time. I grab foam clay and I have a glove on and it just goes and it doesn't come back off. So I just sort of chopped my pieces after I got them rolled out in spaghetti size. I just chopped them in lengths that I thought were, about a decent size, and I just started to lay them on the plate. And then I kept rolling. I had intended on doing some of this before I came live, and I got busy doing some other stuff, and I didn't actually do it. So I'm going to try and go kind of fast with the rolling process here. I hope you can hear me good today. My daughter actually helped me get rid of my static problem with my my speaker. Apparently I had a whole bunch of weird updates to my speaker drivers that I didn't know about. Hey Stacy, we're making some spaghetti and meatballs. There's no meatballs on this plate, but it's going to be spaghetti and meatballs. So I'm just sort of, winding this around the plate as I go. Good, no static. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of tests on it, and I ran a couple of YouTube videos and a couple of shorts and a few other things, and I didn't get any static, so I was hoping it wasn't a Facebook thing. So I'm just going to keep on twirling this around. Now you can use a bowl for this. I know lots of people eat pasta in a pasta bowl. I don't have anything that's plastic that's like a pasta bowl, and I wanted you to be able to see, kind of what I was doing a little better, so I didn't want to hide it with a bowl. Now if you were going to do a fettuccine noodle or something like that, you'd probably have to roll it and then take your rolling pin and just go over your little snake here, and it would flatten it out, I think, pretty well, and it would look like a decent fettuccine. Now because you're putting sauce on this, you can probably just put sort of a lump of clay in the middle and then build your snakes around it. You might even be able to use a small disc to hide the middle. Hey AAA, hey Tammy, hey anybody that I have missed. I am not wearing my my normal computer reading glasses here, so I'm a little handicapped when it comes to seeing right at the moment. Of course, as bad as my eyes are right now, I'm a little handicapped any day, no matter what glasses I have on. I really need to go to the eye doctor again. I know they're getting worse. I have more and more trouble seeing things. I've been wearing glasses a long time, so I've gone through lots of different changes over the years. And I'm still one of those old schoolers that wears the lined bifocals instead of the no lines. I tried to wear them, but I have motion sickness pretty bad. And I found with the no lined ones, when I do things like stairs or I'm trying to drive, I really get nauseous. So I went back to the ones with the lines in it, and it works. And they're cheaper, so that's a plus too. I'm trying to make these a little bit thinner than the original ones that I did. I don't know that I'm being very successful with it, but I'm just trying to kind of go quickly because I didn't get any of this done ahead of time. And I may actually just put a little bit of clay where you're not going to see it anyway because there's going to be sauce put on the top. Yeah, I tried the progressive lenses for a couple of weeks and I just kept getting sicker and bleh, I didn't like them. So I just go old school with it. You can stick a line in my lens, I'm good. But I usually switch over to I have a special pair of computer distance glasses that are special for that amount. And I use that when I'm doing anything where I have to type or really see what I'm doing pretty well. But I didn't put those on today. I'm just wearing the regular ones. So I'm kind of squinting to see my comments because I have my phone too far away and the computer is way over there. So if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But I hope everybody is doing great today. We had a pretty stormy day yesterday, but it's been mostly sunshiny today. I heard some thunder earlier, but I don't think it's done anything. We do need rain, but it's nice to see the sun too. So I'm kind of just bringing these around the outside of the plate, and then I'm going to pile in the sauce and the meatballs in the middle. So you're probably not even going to see that. So I think I'm just going to do one more decent round of the snakies, and then we'll go on to the meatballs. Now you could make meatballs out of your clay. You would just have to paint it a couple of shades of brown and maybe even putting a little black in it to make it look like a cooked meatball, making it really shiny. Oh, you made my strawberry pie? Yay! I think that's my favorite pie so far. My pumpkin pie and my blueberry pie were kind of tied before, but I made that strawberry pie and I was like, this is now my favorite pie. I love this pie. It was so pretty and so shiny. Did you hand roll your strawberries or did you buy them? Let's see. Let's come around a little bit more over here, I think. All right, I think I've just about got enough to do what I want to do here. I'm going to roll out this last bit, and then that'll be that, and we can go on to the meatballs. Now you could do different kinds of pasta, not just spaghetti. You could do fettuccine, or you could build a lasagna doing the same kind of thing, and you could use a rippled clay cutter to cut the little ripply edges of the pasta sheets, and that would be pretty cool. I'm going to have to read that later. I can't read what that says. Alright, I'm going to put this chunky one in the middle just to build this up a little bit. Alright, so that didn't take me too long. Maybe, 10, 12 minutes. I mean, it was a lot for a live to do nothing but roll little pasta pieces, and like I said, I probably have these a little bit on the thick side, but we can just imagine that we're actually making real pasta from scratch, and that always comes out bigger than the stuff in the box anyway. So we'll just call it real pasta. So I'm going to get a little bit of, this is a Naples yellow color. It's a pale yellow, I think is the craft paint color. Where is my, I don't know. All right. You don't need a whole lot of paint for this because you're going to water it down. You can use any kind of small brush that you have. You can use a pointed brush, or this is a tiny flat brush. I'm just going to use that. I am going to put a little bit of water right on the side of my paint. So I put one little puddle of water here, and then I sort of drag the paint into it to really water it down and make it even less yellow. And then I'll dab some of it off on a towel just to make sure I don't have too much. I mean, you don't want like sunshine yellow pasta. You just want to tint it. And that's why I said you can even tint your clay before you start. I was a little worried about doing that because I was afraid of overloading it with the yellow color, and then I'd have to add like a ton back into it. So I thought painting it after the fact would be better. And if you get a little on your plate, it's no big deal. You can wipe it off easy with a paper towel, or you can strategically cover it up with some of your red sauce after you make that. Give a little more water. So I'm just mainly concentrating on the outer parts that are going to show and just making it that sort of tinted pasta color. And because it's pretty watered down, it's really not doing anything but tinting it. It's not really making it yellow. We actually tried some new pasta last night. Have you guys seen that carb-friendly Carbe Diem pasta? I had JR try it. JR is like the biggest pasta hound in the universe. He could eat pasta every day, I think, pretty much. Either tacos or spaghetti. Those are like, or pizza. Those are his three favorites. He tends to eat a little too much of it sometimes, and then he's like, oh, I don't feel good, I ate too much, blah, blah, blah. So I was trying to find the less carby. I'm not a big pasta eater. I like stuffed shells and lasagna and stuff like that, but it's few and far between when I actually eat that. I don't eat a whole lot of pasta at all. But he likes it, so I make it for him. But the Carbe Diem, I actually tried a little, and I have to say it's really very good. I can recommend that. So, I have a plastic bag where? This one? This one? I tend to keep too much stuff on my desk. I know. I'm terrible about that. Hi, Susan. You're not late. What color am I using? This is a Naples yellow, very watered down. Pale yellow, I think, is the craft paint color that I would use if I was using the craft paint. So I got most of that. Just gonna wipe that off my counter real quick. So that's pretty tinted where I want it to be. It's not like one solid color. It's more tinted like cooked pasta would be. So yeah, AAA, I don't eat a lot of pasta either, unless it's like lasagna and it's a special occasion. And then I like mushroom lasagna or zucchini lasagna or spinach lasagna. That would be like, oh my gosh. I had a spinach burrito from a Mexican restaurant he ordered from. They call it Burrito Popeye. That was the best burrito I've ever had in my life. I would order that every time. I love the spinach burrito. It was so good. It was, because I don't like so much meat. I like more of the veggies and cheeses and stuff. So that was like perfect for me. Never thought of putting spinach, that much spinach in a burrito, but yum, so good. JR got grossed out because I put kale in my protein shake the other day, and then I made him try it, and he was grossed out. I love kale. I love arugula. I like the peppery lettuce kind of stuff. It's just, it was really good. I eat different stuff, but all right. So for the meatballs, let's see. Should we do the sauce first? I think we should do the sauce first. I'm going to use, all right, wait a minute. For the sauce, I have to remember what I did now. For the sauce, I started with silicone. And I think I have a good amount of battery here, so I think we're going to be all right. I used a decent amount of silicone, probably, and I think I actually had leftover sauce, but that's okay because I'm going to need some to put meatballs on this other plate. So I'm going to use a decent amount of this. All right. I think that's all I had in that container, so that's all I'm going to get out of that. To that, I added some matte Mod Podge. Yes, I love arugula. I could eat that every day. I added a decent splooge of this. I'm pretty bad about not, get another towel here. I'm pretty bad about not measuring things. I do things by sight more than by measurement. Let's see, I use this one. So I mixed these two things together a little bit to get that silicone a little bit less stiff, I guess. Make it a little more mushy. Now I want this to be like a chunky sauce, so I'm not going to smooth this out as much as you would if you were making like drippy glue kind of thing. Yes, this was clear silicone. Now this paint color is called Crimson. This is the Artist Loft that I think is Michael's, but any dark red paint will do. And to that, because pasta sauce is what it is, I'm adding some, this is just an orange. This is the Master's Touch. This is Hobby Lobby's. I'm just doing a small of orange. And that is a technical measurement. So I'm going to mix all that in. And you'll get a nice sort of marinara color. Oh, there's my honey on there now. I was just telling him how much you like pasta. and how much you liked the Carpe Diem last night. Alright, so I mixed this quite a bit to the point where now it's pretty smooth. But that's a decent pasta sauce color. Now, if you want to chunk this up to make it look like a meat sauce, you can add in some crust mix, or easier than that, this is cork. Soft cork granules. You can get this in pet supply departments. Walmart probably carries it. I got this online at Amazon. This stuff mimics a lot of different things. I don't know if you can, yes, you can see inside the bag there. You can take this, it's a pretty nice chocolate brown color. You can use that as sprinkles on things. If you're looking for something a little bit chunkier to go on a press onto the side of a cake to make it look like a chocolate crumble cake or things like that. These cork granules I can highly recommend. It's easy to use, it's pretty cheap to buy. Easier and cheaper than some of the other things that you might buy. And if you're trying to chunk something up and make it look more textured, in my first go round with this spaghetti sauce, I added flocking. I used red flocking. And it was good. It made a chunky sauce. Now this looks a little more chunkier, more like maybe a meat sauce or a chunky tomato or a chunky marinara, something like that. No, this is not the same sauce I use for pizzas. For pizzas, I use a smooth sauce because pizza sauce is very smooth. And then I cover it, if I'm doing a cooked pizza, I usually use the colored silicone glue. I actually did a pizza yesterday. This isn't shaded yet, but this is what I do for the pizzas. And then I take the brown paint and I shade all that white to make it look like cooked mozzarella. I'll shade it with a watered down, raw sienna, very watered down, and just do this white part. But for the red sauce on the bottom, I either use paint or I use this is a combination of paint and matte Mod Podge, just thick on the bottom. That's all I do for the sauce on those. Ever since I did all the 50 pizzas, I didn't want to do pizza anymore, and now I have customers like crazy ordering pizzas, and I was like, oh, I'm sick of pizza. So now that I have it to this point, I can put my chunky sauce on my pasta. Now you want to make sure you don't cover all your pasta. Keep the sauce sort of contained and keep some of the outer bands of it, the outer pieces of spaghetti, without the sauce on it, so people can tell what it is and it's not just a big blob of red stuff sitting on a plate. They can tell, oh yeah, that's spaghetti, I see that. So you can kind of manipulate your sauce around. And you can put it, as much or as little as you want on there. But like I said, keep it to where you can see what it is. So you can tell that this is spaghetti with sauce because you left some of the noodles exposed on the outside. Now I'm going to save that for just a minute and hope it doesn't harden up before I get done. Close up my cork. Now before this starts to harden, I'm going to show you a little trick for some Parmesan cheese. This is just a little block of white foam clay. I keep blocks laying around. Sometimes I'll have a piece that's sort of hard. Instead of throwing it away, I'll keep it. And then when I need something like Parmesan, I just take my finger, or it's not so easy with a glove on, but an X-Acto knife, you can just, or you can run it over a little cheese grater and just sort of flake it off, and it looks just like Parmesan cheese, or Romano, or whatever you like on your spaghetti. Asiago. We're not driving here, right? Whatever we want. So there, easy enough. You got your little Parmesan cheese topping just by scraping some dried foam clay. And then I use some reindeer moss that has been squashed, pinched, squashed, whatever. And this doubles as some parsley or basil. I also have basil leaves. These come on stems that you can buy. Very realistic basil. This is from somebody's creek. Maybe I'll actually put a basil leaf on there just for a little effect. Whose creek is it? Somebody's creek. Let me think about that for a minute while I am mixing my next thing here, which I'm going to need some more silicone for. Oh, hi Sam. I didn't see you on there. What's the name? Darby. Darby's Creek. That's who I buy my realistic herbs from. Darby's Creek. It's a really good one. Hang on just a second. Whoa. Didn't know I was almost out of silicone, or I would have done this sooner. Okay, so when you're doing this crust mix, let me get another. First thing you're going to do is add a little water. You want to moisturize it. Just a little bit. And I usually wear a mask when I'm doing this because it's a little dusty. And you don't want to breathe in the dust so much. Now this is the dark crust mix. I use this for most of my meats, like hamburgers, tacos. Like I said, if you get this all mixed up and crumbled, you could have added that in instead of the cork and made a meat sauce. And you could have left some of the meat exposed on there if you don't want to do meatballs. But I figured, why not just do the meatballs today? Let's just go all out, right? Next thing you're going to add, because this is all natural, all of the ingredients from this come from nature. There's nothing synthetic in here, and one of the things that's in here is a wood-based item. So I use some wood glue in here. If you are selling products made from this mix, make sure you use wood glue. If you're making something just for yourself, for home, you can use any glue. Because the wood glue, I think, has a better bond in the wood materials that are in there. So if you make anything with this mixture for sale, make sure you go the extra mile and pay the extra money for the wood glue. I hate to say it, but I just feel like you're going to get a better bond in the end, and your products will hold up in shipping and hold up for your customers, you know, in the long run. So once you have the wood glue, I'm throwing it all over. Once you have your wood glue in there, you're going to put some more silicone. Now, depending on what you're going to do with this is dependent on how much silicone you're going to put in it. If you want it to be a crumble, you can use less silicone. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit in small portions. Let me get this thing going here. There it comes. So I have a pretty big bowl because I'm going to use the rest of this for another purpose. So if you were making taco meat, you would only use about 2 ounces per about a cup and a half maybe of the mixture. And once you get this sort of covered in your wood material, it's not just wood, it's got other stuff in it, but it's wood based, I'll say that. But if you were making crumble, you would use about that much silicone, and then just work it with your glove while throwing it on your desk, because you know you will. I'm not the only one, you know you will. And throw it on the floor. Now once it starts, it'll like clump onto your glove first off. Once it starts to get all mixed in, it'll start to pull away from your glove, and then you'll be left with more of this crumbled material like this. So if you were doing like meat for tacos, this is about where you would stop, and you would just sort of interject some air into all this, just sort of lift it and fluff it, and then about every hour or maybe every 30 minutes or so, just fluff it some more, and it'll keep that crumble and it'll start to harden. Now if you had your tacos ready to fill, you can put the wet material in it and it'll just dry right in your taco shells and you'll be done. But you can, I often just sit it and let it dry, and then I pull it out dry and I glue it into my tacos later. So either way is fine. So I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm going to make this part. I'm going to add more silicone, and I'm going to make this into some meatballs. So if you add more silicone, your mixture will stick together more, obviously, and you'll be able to form it into patties, or whatever you're looking to make that's a denser meat-like material. So all in all, the base recipe for this is the same. It's just whichever route you're going, whether it's dense or crumble, is how much silicone you put in. If you were going to mold like the light crust mix, you could do the same thing. If you were going to mold this on the bottom of the cheesecake, like I showed you earlier, you want to make sure you have this like hunk of solid stuff to be able to mold in a pie crust or on the bottom of a cheesecake. If you were doing a trifle, like a layered dessert trifle, and alternating it with spackle or something like that, you'd want more of the crumbly, to where it looked like crumbled cookie pieces or crumbled cake pieces or something like that. But for meatballs, you want this. You want it all to stick together and just harden, just like that. So that's where we're going with this. Now I could do just one giant meatball on the top, but I'm not going to do that. There is a restaurant in Charlotte, near Charlotte, that does that. He has gigantor stuffed meatballs that he has like once a month for his special. And I've always wanted to go try them because it's a great Italian place. Alright, so I'm going to sort of strategically place some of my meatballs. I'm going to try and make them about the same size. And I think I'll probably do 3. Now these are, once you get the silicone in here, it's a pretty hardy little thing. So, I mean, you can make a lot of different things out of these crust mixes. I've been pretty happy with all the different stuff that I've been able to do with it so far. And I'm still thinking of things. You can actually use these and put them in molds and mold cookies. Now I'm going to do a couple of these and probably put them on the original plate that I did. I don't know if I have enough for 3. I'm going to have to glue those puppies on there because that one is already dry. But that's alright. I'm going to take just a little more of my crumble mixture and make one more meatball. I'm going to need to switch my glove though. Does anybody have any questions about this? I mean, is it all making sense? Am I making good sense, or am I kind of talking in rhyme here, or riddle, or whatever you call it? I am still on here, right? I don't think I'm getting any comments. I know, you're just looking at us like, what the mess is she making? Holy cow. I am not doing that in my craft space. I tend to make a lot of mess. Just ask JR, he knows. I am making sense. Well, good. I was going to say, that'll never happen again. Actually, I have, when I do the burgers, I have a grilled steak scent. It really does smell like it, like for real. I'm going to need to glue those down. Alright. I have bacon and I have grilled steak. And it really does smell like it. So, yeah, you can. I don't know that I would put it on meatballs. I don't necessarily have a tomato scent, but I could probably develop one if I thought about it. Alright, let's put that over there. Let me clean up my junk here. And clean my plate. So, basically, I mean, that's a pretty decent. I am going to take, as long as this isn't hardened, and it's not. Good, good. I'm going to put just a little of this sauce on these meatballs, just to make it look like we poured a little over that. This stuff is dreadfully hard to spread. That's my only complaint about it. But and I could use my icing glaze, but then and I have a matte icing glaze that I have used before. I just don't know if it would give the same, I mean, it might give me the same chunky effect. I'm not sure. I'd probably have to try it. have a few new scents that I've been using here, but I haven't put out yet. That are pretty interesting. One of them is dragon fruit, and man, it's pretty yummy. Okay, so this is the one that I just finished. I put some sauce on the meatballs. I'm going to put some Parmesan cheese on there, and then I'm going to put some sauce on these meatballs here before my sauce all dries and gets all funky. Now you'll notice the sauce that I'm putting on now is a little bit lighter looking than the one that I have on the plate. It will dry a little darker because you put silicone in it. That's one of those little things about silicone additives that it usually... Hi Cynthia, how are you today? And these balls are not glued down, so they're giving me a bit. Oh goodness. Let me bring this up here. I think they will stick while the silicone dries, so I'm not too concerned about that. If not, I can always just pull them off and put some glue underneath it. But I'm going to go back to my little dried up piece of foam clay here that I had. Let me clean this up. I always keep a bottle of water and a bottle of alcohol beside me for cleaning things up like this. If you use my crust mix and you use silicones, or if you just use silicones, I'm sure you already know the clean up with alcohol trick, because it's the easiest and fastest way to get silicone off your surfaces. JR just washed these aprons for me over the weekend, and I need another washing. Okay, so I'm going back to my little piece of dried foam clay, and I'm going to take my fingernail, and I'm just going to scratch a little bit. And we have instant Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to add that onto my tops of my meatballs. Pretty easy. Now I had this little roll, I made it into a little garlic bread. I put a nice fork on there. So this is how I would display this whole piece for sale in my Etsy shop. Nice little spaghetti and meatballs dinner. Pretty cute. And this is the one we made today. If you wanted to make something other than spaghetti and roll all those little snakes out, which really didn't take us very long, you could make raviolis. This was one that I made yesterday. It's already hard, and basically all I did, you can make them round or square, either one. I didn't use any kind of mold. You probably can use you know, they have those little homemade ravioli makers that you can buy, and you just sort of flip the one piece over onto the other piece and make a little ravioli thing. You could probably buy a cheapo set of those, and yes, I do, Stacy. I have a vanilla, I think it's called a vanilla cupcake. So yeah, I do. I have a couple of different cake scents. I would just, all I did for this, because I did this by hand, you could even use a square or a round small cutter for these. You could do the little, hi Chad, you could do the little scalloped edge cutter that would make a cute little ravioli thing. And then you can like I said, tint this just like we did the spaghetti with a very pale yellow, watered down. And you could do any kind of sauce on here that you wanted using sort of the same technique. You could do like a lobster ravioli with a vodka sauce, you know, make it more orangey or something like that. But all I did basically was roll this out fairly thin. I don't know where it is. I just rolled it out. I didn't even use a cookie cutter. I just used my X-Acto knife and I just cut a square however big I wanted it. Just squared off my edges. A cookie cutter would be easy. I just did this quick. I was just sort of doodling, which sometimes if I have an idea in my head, I'll doodle it out and then I'll figure out a better way to do it to where it looks semi-professional or whatever. I just took the clay that I chopped off of my square and I stuck it right in the middle, and then I rolled out another square of the same size. Like I said, a cookie cutter would be faster, easier, more exact, and a scalloped one would be totally cute for the edges of this. But if you don't have any of that and you just want to make some ravioli, or if you're a doodler like I am, doodle you some ravioli. I just pressed it like I had a little chunk of something in there, and then I actually didn't have a fork on my desk at the time, so I used a toothpick. But a fork would be even easier to just go around and make those cute little indentations like raviolis have all around the edges. And in 13 seconds, I made a cute little ravioli pouch. And then you can do whatever you want with this, you know, shade it. You can shade it green. You can make spinach ravioli and, you know, put some kind of little cream sauce on it. You can, you know, do it. It's endless. When it comes to pasta, it's really endless. If you wanted to make a lasagna and use the meat, you can use the meat and just make your long lasagna pieces and do it exactly like you would a lasagna. Just layer it on a plate and keep it contained into, you know, like one piece of lasagna on a plate, and do your little veggie layers with some green, you know, reindeer moss or whatever you want to use, or clay pieces that look like, you know, herbs, or, you know, however you want to do it. But I mean, that would be really cool. And you could use this shredded foam clay to make like ricotta cheese layers in there too. So you could do a lot of really cool pasta dishes if you wanted to. So that's just, and I may do some more as well, because now I'm like, pasta, that's pretty cool. I can do a lot with pasta. So maybe some more upcoming pasta tutorials. Tuesday pasta. Maybe, you know, take a break from Taco Tuesdays and we'll do Tuesday pasta for a couple of weeks. That would be kind of fun. So that's about all I have for you today. If you have any questions about anything that I have done, you can always send me a message or put it in the comments here, and I'll try and hopefully see it. So yeah, this is a kind of a easy, fun project. You know, if you're looking for something kind of goofy to, you know, just put out and amaze your friends and family and do some goofy stuff. This is a fun and easy little project. So yeah, coming up in, holy cow, I think 5 minutes will be Nicole and Marie. They are on Nicole's Great Creations page today. So you can catch both of them, and they will be on from 3 till about 4:30 or whenever they finish. They are the final presenters of our day. If you didn't catch Jess this morning, she was doing some super cute stuff. Jess's, oh my gosh, now it's gone again. I know it. Jess's page, yeah. It's on the top of my page, I promise. I posted it this week. Or Jan was doing apples today, so that was super cute. Cece did some little books that were adorable. Everybody does the cutest stuff. So, yeah, if you didn't catch any of them and you're looking for some replays, we have plenty to choose from here in the Crafting Collective. So I will see you again next Tuesday. If you want more information on the crust mixes or anything, you can check out the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the propchef.com blogging channel and you want to, you can go on there and sign up, and you'll get some emails every time I do a blog post on there. I'll be doing coupons for things in my Etsy shop and just different Prop Chef products that we have available. So it'd be kind of fun. So that's the propchef.com if you're interested in that. If you're not following me and you want to, give me a share or a follow or all those things. You can always catch me on YouTube as well. So I'm out of breath. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day and rest of their week, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.